She said it out loud, right there at the reading of the will. I'm entitled to your inheritance. The room went still. Not quiet. Still. The kind of still where every person in that room stopped breathing at the exact same second because what they just heard could not be unsaid. My father had been dead for 11 days. 11 days. And Vanessa was already sitting across from me in a lawyer's office with her ankles crossed and her chin up, like she was the one who spent the last 3 years driving him to chemotherapy. Like she was the one who learned how to change a PICC line at 2 in the morning because the home nurse didn't show up. Like she was the one who held his hand when he stopped recognizing her name, but still recognized mine. She said it again, slower this time. Like the problem was that I hadn't heard her correctly. I am entitled to a portion of what he left you. I looked at my lawyer. He looked at his notepad. That told me everything. She had already called him. When, I said, that was all. Just that one word. Because if I said more, I would say everything. And everything would burn this room down. When did you call my lawyer? He's not just your lawyer, she said. Your father and I had an understanding. There it is. That word. Understanding. The word people use when there's nothing written down. When there's no signature. No witness. No date. Just a conversation they're asking you to take on faith while they sit across from you with a lawyer of their own who is currently pretending to read something on his phone. Vanessa had been with my father for 4 years. They were never married. They were never engaged. She had a key to his house for 2 of those years, and she used it to bring him soup when his appetite was good and disappear for 3-week stretches when it wasn't. I know because I tracked it. I know because after the second round of chemo destroyed his short-term memory, he would ask me every single week why Vanessa hadn't come by. Every single week, I had to decide how much of the truth to give him. I usually gave him half. The lawyer, my lawyer, cleared his throat. Ms. Marchetti, the will as written is unambiguous. The estate passes to Mr. Cole's son in full. There are no provisions. There were conversations, she said. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. There were conversations that your document doesn't reflect. And I have texts. I felt something cold move through my chest. Not fear. Worse than fear. Recognition. Because I knew exactly which text she was talking about. My father was sick and lonely, and there were nights when I could not be there. There were nights when his medication made him expansive and generous and sentimental, and he would tell anyone who was listening that they were the most important person in his life. He told his night nurse that once. He told his pharmacist. He told me every third visit like he was saying it for the first time. He told Vanessa things in text messages that he would never have put in writing if he'd had full command of himself. I knew because he showed me some of them. He was proud of them. He thought they were romantic. Whatever he said to you, I said, was said by a man on 800 milligrams of oxycodone and 2 different sleep medications. And if you want to take those texts to court, I will bring every single medical record that shows his cognitive state for the last 18 months of his life. Her lawyer stopped pretending to read his phone. Vanessa looked at me for a long time. Her expression didn't break. That was the thing about her. She was not a villain who flinched. She was the other kind. The kind who had decided before she walked into this room exactly how far she was willing to go. He loved me, she said, quietly, like that was the point, like that was the argument. I know he did, I said, and I meant it. That was the worst part. I believed her. I believed that my father, in whatever capacity he had left, had loved this woman who appeared and disappeared like weather. I believed she had given him something real in between the disappearances. I believed there were good nights. I had to believe that because the alternative was that he spent the last 4 years of his life alone in a way that even I couldn't fix. But love is not a legal document. And I had watched him die. You want to do this? I said. We can do this. But I want you to understand something first. Every penny you try to pull out of that estate is a penny that comes with 3 years of documentation. Medical records, pharmacy logs, home care schedules, visitor logs from the hospital that will show exactly how many of his last 47 admissions you were present for. I leaned forward. 14. The answer is 14. I counted. Her jaw tightened. Barely. But I saw it. I'm not doing this because I need the money, she said. Then what are you doing it for? Because he would have wanted me to have something. He would have wanted a lot of things, I said. He would have wanted to see his grandchildren. He would have wanted his hair back. He would have wanted 18 more years. What he wanted and what happened are not the same thing, and they never were. The room held that for a moment. Her lawyer whispered something to her. She shook her head once, sharp. There's a letter, she said. I went cold all the way down. What letter? She reached into her bag, took out an envelope, set it on the table between us like she was placing a card in a game she'd been waiting to play since before she sat down. My lawyer picked it up first. Read it. His face did something careful and controlled that I had never seen it do before in 7 years of knowing him. He handed it to me. My father's handwriting. Shaky but his. Dated 8 months before he died. Before the last big decline. Before the period I would have argued stripped his judgment. 8 months before. It was 4 paragraphs. The first one said he loved me. The second one said he knew he'd leaned on me too hard and too long, and that he wished he could give that time back. The third one said that Vanessa had given him something he couldn't name and didn't deserve, and that he hoped I would find a way to recognize that. The fourth one said he wasn't asking me to split the estate. He was asking me to consider giving her something. Whatever I thought was right. That he trusted me to know what that meant. He trusted me to know what that meant. I read it twice. I read the third paragraph 4 times. Then I folded it and put it back in the envelope, and I set it on the table. He didn't put a number on it. I said. No, she said. He didn't. He also didn't change the will. He didn't know how to have that conversation with you. He could have called his lawyer. He was afraid of what you would say. That one landed. I won't pretend it didn't. Because I knew my father. I knew exactly the kind of conversations he avoided and exactly why, and I knew that what she was saying was not impossible. I sat with it. The room sat with me. My lawyer was not looking at me. He was looking at a point somewhere above the table, like he was giving me the privacy of his non-attention. Her lawyer had put his phone away. Vanessa was watching me, and her eyes were not what I expected them to be. They were not calculating. They were not triumphant. They were something closer to exhausted. Like she had been holding this for 11 days, and the weight of it was real. What number, I said, is in your head? She told me. It was not nothing. It was also not everything. It was the kind of number that would hurt without destroying. That would require me to feel it without requiring me to recover from it. Give me 2 weeks, I said. She nodded. Once. We did not shake hands. We did not make eye contact again. She picked up her bag, and her lawyer followed her out, and I sat in that chair for 4 more minutes without moving. My lawyer let me. You don't have to, he said finally. Legally, you don't have to give her $1. I know. The letter is not binding. It's not a codicil. It's not witnessed. It's not notarized. It has no legal standing. I know. But, he said. And then he stopped. But, I said. He nodded. But. I drove home the long way. Through the neighborhood where I grew up. Past the house my father sold after my mother left. Past the park where he coached my little league team for 3 seasons, even though he hated baseball and I was terrible at it. Past the diner where he took me every Sunday morning until I was 17, and then suddenly stopped because I had other things to do and he didn't want to make me feel obligated. He never told me he missed it. I found out from my aunt 2 weeks after the funeral. She said he talked about those Sunday mornings for years. She said he kept thinking I would come back to it. I never did. I parked outside my house and sat in the car for 20 minutes. The letter was in my jacket pocket. I hadn't left it at the office. I don't know why. I told myself I would read it again later, but I already knew every word. He trusted me to know what that meant. The question was whether I trusted myself. I went inside. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table where my father had sat exactly 3 times in the last year of his life, and I thought about what it means to honor someone. People talk about honoring the dead like it is simple, like it is a matter of following instructions. But my father had left me a will and a letter that did not say the same thing, and both of them were real, and both of them were him. And I had to choose which version of him to listen to. The legal him. The man who sat with a lawyer in a controlled moment and made a document and signed it and had it witnessed. Or the sick him. The shaky-handed midnight him who wrote 4 paragraphs on paper and sealed them in an envelope and gave them to a woman he loved in whatever broken and incomplete way he was capable of loving her. Which one was more true? I call my sister. She lives in Portland. She was not at the will reading because there was nothing left to her. She had borrowed money from my father years ago, a significant amount, and they had an agreement that the debt would be settled against any future inheritance. It was already done. She knew about the will. She knew the basic structure. She did not know about the letter. I read it to her over the phone. She was quiet for a long time. That's Dad, she said finally. That's exactly Dad. Asking for something without asking for it. Trusting someone else to do the hard thing because he couldn't. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a dad thing, she said. It's neither. It just is. What would you do? She took a long time with that too. My sister is not a person who answers fast when the question is real. I would ask myself one thing, she said. Not whether he deserved it. Not whether she deserved it. I would ask myself, 10 years from now, which choice would I be able to live with? And I don't mean financially. I mean at 3 in the morning when nothing else is happening and it's just you and what you did. I didn't answer her. That's the only question, she said. Everything else is noise. We talked for another hour about other things. About the house. About what to do with his books. About whether to keep his car or sell it. Normal things. Necessary things. The administrative weight of loss that nobody tells you about until you're inside it. After I hung up, I went to his room. I had not done that yet. Not really. I had been in there to get documents, to find insurance papers, to look for the deed. Functional reasons that let me walk in and walk out without actually being there. This time I just stood. His dresser still had the same arrangement he'd had for 30 years. Watch on the left. Keys in the ceramic dish his mother made him. A photograph of me at 8 years old standing in front of a fish I had caught at a lake in Vermont. He was so proud of that fish. I remember being embarrassed because he told everyone at the marina. I remember wishing he would stop. I would give anything to hear him tell that story one more time. There was a second photograph I had not seen before. Behind the first one, tucked slightly so that you would only see it if you were standing where I was standing. Vanessa and my father. Outdoor restaurant somewhere. Summer. He was thinner than I remembered him being at that stage. But he was laughing. Not smiling. Laughing. The kind that comes from your whole chest. I had not seen him laugh like that in a long time. I do not know when this was taken. I do not know what she said that made him laugh that way. I do not know what their good nights were actually like because I was not there for the good nights. I was there for the hospital visits and the medication schedules and the hard conversations and the slow, terrible practical work of watching someone leave the world. She was there for something else. Maybe that something else was worth something. Maybe the question was never whether she deserved it. Maybe the question was whether my father's laughing mouth in a photograph he kept behind another photograph meant something that no document could hold. I took the photograph with me when I left the room. 2 weeks later, I called my lawyer. I told him a number. It was not her number. It was not my number. It was a third number that I had arrived at 3 in the morning on a Tuesday when nothing else was happening. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Okay, draft it as a one-time settlement. No ongoing obligation. No acknowledgement of any claim. A gift. Voluntary. Full stop. I'll have it ready Thursday. One more thing," I said. "I want a letter included. From me. Not legal language. Just a letter." "Okay," he said. "What do you want it to say?" I thought about that. I wanted to say that I saw the photograph, and that I'm glad those nights existed, and that I'm not giving this because he asked me to. I'm giving it because I chose to. He typed something. "Anything else?" "Tell her not to contact me again. I'll make sure that's clear." We hung up. I sat in the quiet for a while. I did not feel resolved. I did not feel at peace. I did not feel like I had made the right decision in some clean, definitive way that would hold up under examination. I felt like I had made a decision that I could survive. That was all. That was what my sister had said. Not the right thing. The thing I could live with at 3 in the morning. The photograph was on my desk. I looked at his laughing mouth for a long time. Then I put it face down and got back to work. Here is what nobody tells you about grief and money arriving in the same room at the same time. It does not reveal who you are. It reveals who you were when nobody was making you be better. When the law was on your side. When you could have held every penny and called it justice and gone to sleep that night and woken up the next morning and done it again. The question is not whether Vanessa deserved it. The question is not whether my father was in his right mind when he wrote that letter or when he kept that photograph or when he loved her in whatever incomplete way he managed. The question is this. When you are given the legal right to do something and the human reason to do something different. When the document and the photograph are both telling you the truth and they are not saying the same thing. When the person who knew you best trusted you to know what was right without telling you what that was. What do you do with that trust? Not what should you do. Not what would look good. Not what would let you in the story you tell at dinner. What do you actually do? Because that answer, that private, unglamorous, witnessed only by yourself answer, that is who you are.